Hello, English learners. Cup of tea with me. Hope you're having a cup of tea with me. Today, I am enjoying a beautiful uh, rose flavored, or I think rose and red berries. I think it is actually rose and red berries tea here today. Beautiful colored background, very bright in the back, still very sunny where I am. It is 12 o'clock UTC. That's 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock Universal Time. And so have a tea with me, join and chat about stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about today, some stuff. So like always, we're going to wait and see if, excuse me, if anyone, just clearing the throat there, if anyone will be joining us today. And if you do join us and you wish to participate, we're all about practicing English. So it's an opportunity for you. You're an English language learner and you would like to practice English, practice speaking, practice having a conversation. This is an opportunity for you. It's free. We're here on YouTube, on the Lesson Jigsaw webpage, and we're also on Facebook today. Again, on the Lesson Jigsaw page on Facebook. We do welcome you to like, follow, subscribe, whatever you would like to do. Please do. It would be great if you do that. We do appreciate it. I guess we're starting small, trying to grow a bit of a community here. And yes, if you would like to participate, by all means, click the link that you see in the comments. If you're on YouTube, you'll see the pinned comment at the top. Just click on that. You can come through and we can have a chat. Yes, and also if in general you do wish to come on for a class and practice other things, maybe this is not the best time for you, or is another time you would prefer, depending on where you are in the world, you can send us an email, chat on lessonjigsaw@gmail.com. That's chat on lessonjigsaw@gmail.com is the email. Send us an email. Tell us like where you're from and what you'd like to practice, and indeed we can try and schedule a time and practice. All live streamed here on YouTube or Facebook, or and all. That is the case. So, how are you today? What's been happening? What has been happening? It's been, I think it's Chinese New Year. Is that today or tomorrow? It's around this time. Anyway, I do see lots of festivities, but I always get confused unless I actually do the research, because a lot of celebrations obviously seem to be over several days, and you see things over several days. So it's for me anyway. I'm not. I guess it's different from the, what would you call it? The Gregorian New Year, I guess, with the Gregorian calendar, with that New Year, because it's always on the 31st of December into the 1st of January. So it's always the same day every year. So, and I have to say, I don't use the lunar calendar too much, although maybe I should. Maybe I should. So anyway, like I was saying, if you would like to join us, please do. What I thought we might do today is I'm going to, okay, let me just get rid of this. There we go. So what we might do today is we're going to practice writing. And what I thought we'd do is we'd write a brief story, a short story about a place. And I found this photo. I think it's on Pexels. I found this photo as a photo, and the I guess the general points that we want to do as we're writing is that we want to use any grammar and any vocabulary that could be necessary. So similar to you, if you're writing something, I guess it depends on the task that you're doing. If you've got an exam task, I guess, and the exam asks you to write in a particular tense, well, I guess you have to. That's not a natural thing necessarily, um, uh, because it depends on what's actually real or appropriate for that story that you're telling. Or say story could be a report, could be a letter, could be or whatever it is that you're writing. It may not be appropriate to write a story necessarily if your task says to write in the present simple, because maybe it's you want to tell something about happened in the past, and normally, of course, we mix everything up. So we use a bit of simple tenses, a little bit of perfect tenses, some continuous. It depends. And of course, there's a mixture of past, present, and future, depending on what's appropriate for the story. Now, in this case, it's authentic in the sense that I'm writing it, but it's not authentic in the sense that I found this photo and I'm making up the story. And I encourage you in the comments, if you would like to, or certainly on the Facebook page as well. You can send us a story, particularly if you're seeing this in a replay when you'd like to practice your writing, to practice writing a short story. You could use this picture, or indeed we can find other pictures. There's lots of things, of course. We could write a story about everything, anything and everything. It's like, I'm not sure at school, when you were at school, if you did what we call show and tell, we would, I think this was in, I can't remember what years now, but normally the earlier years, let's say, of school, I think up until maybe like year 3 or 4, so to maybe up until like 8 or 9, maybe even less than that. But we would have to bring in an item, show it, and talk about it. And maybe if you're learning English and you're in a class, maybe your teacher gets you to do this anyway. And apart from just doing that, like showing a photo or an object, I mean, this is a common thing what we do anyway. If you're in a meeting and you need to present a report, or if you're a student and you need to give the results of a study or some research that you've done, that's all a type of show and tell. If you have to go to a supermarket and you've bought a product and it doesn't work, you bring it there, you're going to show them and tell them what's happened. It's like I plug in the toaster and then it starts to go on fire and you can see all of the black bits in the toaster or whatever it may be. So you're showing and you're telling the story. So in a way, a lot of what we do is show and tell. And I guess because we like to be visual, don't we? Anyway, okay, so we want to use any vocabulary and grammar. And as we're doing that, we want to think about why we're using the language that we do. So why we want to say perhaps a particular word, or why we want to use a particular structure in that place, and also think about the alternatives for that. Now, unfortunately, the way I've coordinated this, maybe not the best technologically sound way I've set this up, but so I'm going to do the writing over here, but then the stuff is over here. I don't think I can do it, so I've got both on the screen at the same time, but you can't have everything. Can you? Well, I guess you can. Remember, I heard an expression: "You can't have everything." Oh no, that was a joke. That's right. That's a Stephen Wright joke. Like to have everything and just keep it where it is. Uh, I like that my tea has cooled down sufficiently and very sippable, very sippable. Um, okay, now we've got this photo here. Now, unfortunately, with this photo, I can't zoom in the way I've got it presented. But you know, as I say, you can't have everything. Let me see if I can. I move out of the way, and we look at this photo, and I guess the first question you ask is, where are we? And I guess the options would be either like a cafe or a restaurant. If it's a restaurant, looks like a casual type restaurant, but certainly it looks like a cafe of some sort. What else can we see? Uh, we can we can see that it's, I think, very much a surf theme. So it could be close to the beach. Maybe not, but maybe it is. So it could be close to the beach. And the reason I say that, of course, is because you've got the surfboard in the corner, the the blue surfboard in the corner, uh, and I guess that's near the entrance. I would assume it could also be the exit or to an outdoor garden as well. Who knows? And there are also on the walls we have some photos of surfers in action riding the waves in different places. Okay, and then there also is on the wall. There are actually lots of different photos. So I would suggest perhaps it's the owner, maybe a surfer or into the surfing community, and they've got photos perhaps of their experiences when they are surfing. So they've got some things on the wall, and they've also perhaps got some. If they've had some surfers or some famous people who've come in, maybe they got some photos, or maybe it could also just be some photos of some idols that they have. Uh, it's an interesting setup. It seems to be groups of four. The tables are set up in. There's a nice little pot plant on the tables that we can see anyway. And it looks like as though the menu, I can only really see that on one table. The menu is on like a little stand. Um, so that may be easier to read. That may be they've just put it there. It could be that they have it on a stand and they have it outside so people can flick through. That could be a possibility. They've got lots of drinks that they're presenting in the just below the counter. They've got some. Looks like it's in cardboard containers, and looks like perhaps a mixture of glass and plastic. It's hard to tell exactly. I dare say probably glass underneath the counter as well, and on the countertop we have many uh, bottles as well, it looks like, and there could also be some different things. Looks as though they're selling chai. So they could, I assume that's like either a tea or maybe like a latte that they prepare with chai. They have a bunch of condiments. So sugar, maybe is a thing there for different types of sugars and sweeteners. You also have, it looks like one of those little um, lids where they can present, like when you have like cakes or pastries and that sort of thing. So cool. I think it could perhaps be a muffin in there. So that's a possibility. So they have that on there to keep it fresh. And there's obviously there's a fridge on the wall there. And there's another fridge actually near the counter where they've got perhaps maybe some salads or desserts. The one near the wall is for, looks like, other bottles and drinks. And next to that on the left, perhaps is an oven of some sort, but it's hard to tell. It could just be another refrigerator cabinet. Okay. Uh, so that's the general sort of layout that we have here. It looks like a very cool place. Cool, I guess, I suppose, in terms of trendy, but also cool perhaps in terms of the actual air temperature in there, just the way that it's tiled out and that sort of thing. It looks as though they keep the environment uh, fresh, let's say. So perhaps with the door open, the breeze can come through. And that's very useful as well. So, um, so that's what we want to think about or can think about when we're writing a story. We can think about the place. We can think about the atmosphere. We can talk about any types of actions, what I do, what you do, what people do in this particular place. We'll talk about why we go there, why different things are there. We talk about um, memories, so things that happened there in the past. This is obviously quite common with stories. You talk about events or situations and the location, and perhaps sometimes the location is very key for the story, and perhaps like a wish of some sort. So wanting to create a memory of some sort. Okay, so if we think about that, what we can do is we want to try and have some of these elements, if you like, included into our story. So let me put that there. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Now, not sure if that works. There we go. Okay. So let's try this and see if this works. So I'm going to start off talking about the place. I'm going to say, uh, uh, hang on. Well, let's think about in terms of what could be the name, and because we don't know, in this case, we're making it up. I'm going to call it the Surf Hut. Was my favorite place to hang out when I lived in California. Now, this is just made up, but and if there is a surf hut in California, that's just by chance. And I've never actually been to California, so I'm just completely making this up. Now, I could also, of course, say the surf hut is, or alternatively, uh, the surf hut will be my favorite place to hang out when I, in this case, live in California. So depending on what tense. So obviously, if we're using the past here, we would need to match that. So if we say was, we would need to say lived, because obviously all of that um, is just related to the past. There's nothing to do with now. Where I could say um, uh, when the surf hut is my favorite place to hang out when I live in California. Now, I guess that can be true. I guess the problem with that second half of that sentence is that it gives you the feeling that perhaps you live in several places, which is possible. Maybe I live for, I don't know, 6 months of the year in California and 6 months of the year in New York, for example. Uh, and and I guess that is possible. I guess another alternative we could use in that way, if that was the story, might be say to stay. So the surf hut is uh, my favorite place to hang out when I stay in California, and that then gives a clear impression that you stay there, but you also stay in other places, and it's not really giving you an indication of perhaps the more permanent place where you live. So I guess it depends. And I guess I can use the future because I can say the surf hut will be my favorite place to hang out when I live in California, because that's still presenting the future when I live in California. So that's something I'm doing. Maybe I'm going to live in California next year, or maybe I've got a job there that's starting sometime in the future. And a friend of mine has told me about this incredible place called the Surf Hut, and I've been reading reviews about it, seen pictures of it, or heard stories about it, and I just know it will be my favorite place in the future. That's possible. To hang out, in case you don't know, to hang out is uh, just to, I guess I would say, spend uh, relaxed time in a place. Um, and you could be talking about the place or the company that you have. When I say company, the other people. Um, well, I could say well, people, or it could be animals as well. It could be if you got like a dog or a cat, you could just hang out with the dog for the evening. That's possible as well. So I would say when you're hanging out is when you're having a more relaxed time, um, and it's not generally the idea is it's not stressful. Um, but in this case, um, uh, I want to say that it's in the past because I want to imagine that I don't live in California anymore because I lived in California. So I don't live there anymore. And uh, perhaps the surf hut is not operating anymore. Maybe perhaps it's closed down. So it was my favorite place. Um, or I just want to emphasize that all of this was in the past. So I don't live in California anymore. So I don't go to the surf hut anymore. Um, Now it was super chilled and had the happiest vibe. Okay, so the surf hut was my favorite place to hang out when I lived in California. It was super chilled and had the happiest vibe. So here, what we're obviously talking about is the atmosphere in the place. Uh, Chilled. If something is chilled, I guess you have different meanings of chilled. You have chilled as in the sense of uh, literally physically cold, like a freezer or like a refrigerator, keeping uh, um, food products cold and that sort of thing. So it could be in that sense, but in this case, chilled meaning not stressful. So it's a think of a place where you could go and you can go there, you can sip your cup of tea, and you don't have to worry about anything. You can just sort of take the weight off your shoulders. You may say maybe you have a stressful job or a stressful time at school or uni, whatever you're studying, or just things in life could be very stressful. But if you go to a place and it's super chilled, because here we're emphasizing, we're giving a greater degree to the amount of chill that we have there. So it was super chilled. Um, and what else we say? So it has the happiest vibe. So the vibe, I guess, is when I'm writing this, I'm saying this in terms of a synonym for atmosphere and let's say the electricity in the air, the feeling in the air. So it was super chill and had the happiest vibe. So it was very positive. Um, so maybe, and of course, different people have different interpretations. So my idea of what a happy vibe is could be different, of course, to another person's happy vibe. And I guess that could be something that is further explored in a story. Okay. And a happy vibe. Now, actually, we need to think of something that happens there. Now, I'm going to just talk about in terms of the amount of patronage. Um, and I'm going to talk about now the picture that we saw. Let me go back to this. Now, the picture that we saw, it's in the daytime, but I'm going to create a memory talking about when it was in the evening. So I'm going to imagine you're going to have lots of people there, and perhaps they have like some live music or something along those lines. So I'm going to say uh, there were always loads of people there. Whoops, loads of people there in the evenings when they had live bands playing. I could also say performing. I could also just say when they had live bands and nothing else. So there are always loads of people, a lot of people, a lot of people. So there are always loads of people there in the evenings when they had live bands. So I'm going to say it could be in the morning. Maybe in the mornings they had they have some nightclubs or something nearby, or people would go. That could be a possibility for another story. It could be that the beach was in the east. Is that right? In the east, and people would go there early in the morning, and they would have a what do they call it? Like a chilled. Um, what's the name of that? Like a maybe like a trance sort of music, or or maybe even jungle, maybe a bit of drum and bass sort of music. Um, um, I remember I used to love going to places, and they used to call it as uplifting house. I think it was uplifting house, but it wasn't too late. It wasn't house like too energetic. It was more just sort of like lifting, but in a gentle way. And so maybe they've got some like a DJ playing some tunes as everyone sitting around on bean bags, and the sun's coming up, and then everyone's there just to watch the sunrise, and then they sip on a glass of orange juice or something. But anyway, that's not, that's not the story that I'm doing. So I'm just saying in general, there were loads of people there, maybe in the mornings, but also in the evenings. So they had when they had live bands. So I guess that's explaining uh, the action of what was happening in a way, but also the why, and it's a memory. I guess I've combined all three in a way there. So I said when they have live bands, and like I say, I could say when the bands were playing or the bands were performing. So obviously, live music is a performance type of art. Um, so you have different sort of variations there. Uh, all my favorite uh, local singer, what's going to do a dash there, songwriters. So let's use the other there, performed there. Okay, so all my favorite local singer-songwriters performed on stage there. Uh, so local, obviously meaning from the area, from there. So I was in California. I haven't specified a city, so I guess depending on how you want to do it, you could specify local as in local from the state of California, or could be local from a particular city or town, wherever this cafe is. And a singer-songwriter is, I guess, very literal, someone who sings, but also writes songs. So this is very common, I guess, particularly if you think of acoustic guitarists. I think that's probably the most common way that you see a singer-songwriter, but they play the acoustic guitar. Could also be piano, I guess, or keyboards, but particularly with guitar, they play an acoustic guitar and they're singing the songs that they've written. So in this case, they've performed it, and we could just say performed there, but in this case, we've also added on stage. So I guess the idea of adding that in is we want to highlight that it was public and perhaps the stage is elevated to some degree, although on stage is more of, I guess, an expression, even if it's the same level and there's not an actual stage. I guess we would say that as well. And then we could also say, I hope that it reopens by the time I get back there. In this case, it's a wish, and I've used hope to indicate my wish. So, and in this case, I've given the idea, or represented the idea that it's closed for some reason, and there could be, of course, lots of reasons. Maybe they've got some renovations that are happening. Maybe there was some type of closure in the area. Maybe it's something like has happened over the last couple of years. Maybe there was some closures in areas, enforced closures, and businesses couldn't open. There were different types of businesses or different places couldn't open, or maybe someone sold the property and the new owners are developing in a certain way, or just haven't opened it up yet. Maybe there's some problems getting staff. Maybe there's some legal issues. Who knows what it could be? It could be lots of different reasons. So, but they're hoping that it can reopen. And when? We'll say when, because we would say it reopens next week, or we hope that it reopens next year. In this case, the way I want to say the time is I'm giving what happens in that time. And I've said by, so obviously before, but I don't actually have like a specific date. And I'm saying by the time I get back there. So that's the time I return to California and to that city. So and so that could be tomorrow, could be next week, could be in a month's time, could be in 5 months' time, could be a year, 10 years. So it's a very vague and very general way of presenting that time, but it's very open and it's very specific for what we want to explain. So the short story, brief story that we have is the surf hut was my favorite place to hang out when I lived in California. It was super chilled and had the happiest vibe. There were always loads of people there in the evenings when they had live bands playing. All my favorite local singer-songwriters performed on stage there. I hope that it reopens by the time I get back there. Okay, and that's my simple short story about this photo and this cafe. Now, where the stage was, I guess, is perhaps this photo was taken from the stage area, perhaps. Okay, so I think we're going to leave it there for today. If you do want to be on and have a chat with us, and the point here is not necessarily to describe pictures or me write stories about pictures, it's for you to come and have a chat. So if you would like to do that, we are here every day, at least during the week, 12 p.m. Universal Time. Send us an email, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and like us on Facebook, or join the community on Facebook. And we hope to see you soon. All right.